Welcome to Game of Leadership, the podcast for curious leaders. I'm Paula Eddy Wilcox, and today is the third episode with our wonderful guest who is talking about the pivotal moments that make them the leader they are today. I really hope you enjoy the episode. I can't wait to find out what's in store. Hello, Alex, and welcome back to your third episode of Game of Leadership, the podcast for curious leaders. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. 3 episodes down, you're probably sick of hearing my voice.
Well, you know, if the listeners vote with their ears and go elsewhere, then we know what's happened. No.
We know what's happening.
That will not be the case. You know, if they haven't listened to them yet, highly recommend they go and listen to your first 2 episodes, because we've already had some fantastic conversation, learning all about what makes you the unique Alex and leader that you are. It's been absolutely fascinating, and I know we're in for some more great stuff today. So thank you so much for being a glutton for punishment and coming back for more.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
No worries. So just to remind everybody, you are a digital marketing guru. You're on your 3rd successful business, which is just fantastic, and helping a lot of people work out and navigate the intricacies of social and digital marketing is probably the best way I would describe it in layman's terms. Is that about right?
That's spot on, Paula, yeah.
Fantastic. All right, all your marketing for you then in that case.
Well, I'm letting you do the marketing for me this time with this podcast.
Brilliant. Well, you will be able to share it far and wide and have some fun with it when it comes out. That's fabulous. So, Alex, today let's say we've already talked about your journey to where you are today in terms of, you know, your leadership journey, if you like. And I love it because it's never that boring CV. So today I joined that company, and then I went to that company. You know, thankfully, life is not linear and boring. It's all over the place. It's a bit of a roller coaster, and we take twists and turns that often present us with crossroads along the way, and you know, we have choices to make. And I always talk to my clients about the choices that they have, because often they can't see them until they start to step back and take a proper look. So we have lots of choices that we make in our lives and lead us to where we are right in this very moment, chatting to each other. Then we talked about your take in your 2nd episode on game and leadership, which was fascinating yet again. All sorts of different stuff coming up there. And now today, we'd love to hear all about those pivotal moments that make you the leader you are today of your 3rd digital marketing business. Go, Alex.
So, do you know, one of the, this is something I really want to share. One of the biggest sort of aha moments for me was, I suppose you can relate it to leadership, because it is entrepreneurship in its purest form. But the biggest lesson I learned was the difference between being self-employed and being a business owner. You see, a lot of us have heard the term work on your business, not in your business, right? And it can be quite hard to conceptualize that statement. You know, what exactly does that mean? I mean, of course, in its on the surface, we know what it means. You know, work on the business, not in the business. But in practice, a lot of people really struggle, and we end up doing tasks within our business that we tell ourselves that no, we're working on the business, when in fact we're not. We're working in the business. Now, when I was in my first company, when I started my first company, and we were doing website design and SEO, financially on paper, I was super successful, but in reality, I was a workhorse.
Yeah.
I was working silly hours. I was doing everything myself because I was young. it was all about the money for me. And the money's coming in. I'm like, yes, yes, yes. So because it was all about the money, I wasn't willing to outsource work and bring people in to get more done and scale, because I wanted all the money and I didn't want to give it to anyone else. And, you know, I was telling myself that I was super successful, but I was just burning myself out slowly but surely. And one thing I always say, because of that experience, one thing I always say is, you know, is a millionaire actually a millionaire if he's in a prison cell?
Yeah, I
He's
love
not.
that.
You know, he's not. And that's exactly what I was doing. And that's exactly what I see many other entrepreneurs doing. Now, going into my second business, I started to understand the different tasks within a business. And that was, you know, I talk about £10 tasks, £100 tasks, and £1,000 tasks.
Yeah.
And your £10 tasks are the tasks that they don't drive revenue in the business, but they must be done. And they're the lowest value tasks. So things like sending invoices, replying to emails, replying to messages, setting meetings, they're the lowest value tasks. They don't require any skills, but they need to be done in order to keep the business going. And then we have our £100 tasks that, again, they don't directly drive revenue in the business, but they need to be done and they require a skill set to do it. I.e., in my business, things like building out web pages, writing page copy, putting together webinars, things like that. They need to be done in order to keep the business moving forward, but they don't really result in revenue in the business. So when you're outsourcing those, you need someone with an actual skill set, you know, like a copywriter. And then we have £1,000 tasks. Now, these tasks are the most important tasks that drive revenue in the business. And these are things like doing content, okay, having conversations, because doing that, engaging in these practices are directly result in more revenue in the business. And when I started to differentiate between these different tasks, it became very clear to me. It's like, right, now I know how I can work on the business and not in the business. The goal is to outsource the £10 tasks, get rid of all those, and then outsource the £100 tasks, get rid of all those, and focus only on the £1,000 tasks. And that all came apparent in my second business. But, you know, us humans, we're flawed, aren't we? We learn these lessons.
What do you mean? I'm perfect, Alex.
Of course you are, Paula. You're perfect.
If you believe that, you'll believe anything. I'm as flawed as the rest of them.
Exactly. We're all flawed, whether we care to admit it or not.
And that's what makes us unique and fantastic.
Exactly, it is. It makes us unique. It makes us who we are. But the thing is, you know, we because we're flawed, we understand a lot of things that are going to make our lives better and optimize our life, but we don't do it. Why? Because we're flawed. You know, we're like, right, I need to do this, and we tell others you need to do this, but in practice we don't do it. You know, and I'm guilty. You're probably guilty. There's a lot of things I talk about. I would say, look, this is going to help you in this way, but do I do it? No, not really. Why? Because I'm flawed. You know?
Giving away all the secrets now.
Don't worry, there is a lot that I do, but there are the odd thing that I don't do. But moving on to my third business, it was all about, instead of how much money can I drive into the business, it's how can I maximize the people that I can serve with this solution that I have. And in the best way to maximize the people that you can help is by bringing more people into the business, outsourcing more tasks, working with more freelancers, employing more people, putting together more of a team. And that was the really pivotal moment for me. Instead of going in and thinking, how can I maximize revenue in the business? Which, again, I don't care if people won't care to admit this or not. There's a lot of people out there, and I'd say it's probably more than 80% of people, their primary goal in their business is to generate revenue. Now, I get that. You know, we've all got families to look after. We've got mouths to feed, bills to pay. And I get that money is a very big motivating factor, because at the end of the day, we're all in business to make money. You know, that's the bottom line. We're in business to make money. But we seem to get lost in that notion and forget that actually we're doing this to serve people. So if we lead by serving people, then we detach from the financial side of things, and it doesn't really matter how much money we've got in our back pocket. It's about how many people can we serve? And then it becomes easier to scale, and it's much more around the business than it is around the money, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it
That was
definitely.
my biggest moment, learning the difference between being a business owner and being a self-employed workhorse.
Yeah, and I really get that. And I have to say, on my sort of entrepreneurial journey, if you like, because I spent, almost 30 years in corporate. So I was
Wow.
institutionalized up to the eyeballs. I of course started that when I was 5, so I'm really young. Um, I'm telling a few fibs this morning, aren't I?
It's because I've said humans we're flawed. It's got you going now.
Exactly.
That was the
Now it's
green.
all
That was
coming
the
out.
green light. Go, go,
Yeah,
go.
you've given me permission. And I took it and ran with it. No, but I mean, yeah, having spent sort of that long employed, I really was institutionalized. And when I started my own business, it really took a while,
Yeah,
to get that absolute pivot in view of what you've just described and how you behave on or in your business.
yeah,
And it's, yeah, I'd say I'm probably still a work in progress, but it's, it really is the difference between where you focus your time and how well you use that time, should we say. And
absolutely.
yeah, the more that I take on, in a way, the easier it feels, because I'm getting into a much better flow. The efficiencies come, you know where you need to spend your time, all of those things. But it takes time
It does.
to get through that initial stage of rabbit in the headlights. I have to be HR, IT, finance, everything. Oh my God,
I know, I know. It can be overwhelming. It really can. But the fact that you're still here, you're still showing up, that's the main thing, because most people give up. There's so many stories out there
Oh,
in this
yeah.
new hyper information driven world we live in about
Mm,
success in business and overnight millionaires. And let me be perfectly clear, business is bloody hard. Like,
yeah,
business is really
yeah,
hard. It's not easy. And I'm not saying that there isn't overnight successes. There, of course there are.
yeah.
But people don't realize how rare that is. Like,
Mm.
99.9999999% of us are gonna have to get in the trenches and go to war, because
Mm,
it's not easy, and you're going to have to fight your limiting beliefs, because you mentioned about that corporate mindset that you had, but
mm,
people don't realize that it all starts in public school. We're
yeah,
taught to think a certain way in public school. We're not taught to think outside the box. We're not taught critical thinking. We're not taught to work as teams. We're told not to copy people and to regurgitate what people tell us, instead of coming up with our own ideas.
mm,
And all this is setting the stage ready for that corporate life. What do they tell kids at school these days? Oh, if you don't pass these exams, you're going to end up working at McDonald's. Really? Well, in fact, one thing I found is that the people who failed school actually seem to be the most successful in today's world,
mm,
and the people who got A's and A stars at school seem to be the ones struggling. And
yeah,
it's so clear these days. When I took time out from business and went back into education, one thing that came very apparent to me is that, well, hang on a minute, the guys who failed school drive Lamborghinis, and the people who got PhDs, who are the pinnacle of academia, they ride bicycles to school. What's going on? And then during my time in academia, there was, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I know there was some form of legislation or something was put in place that would limit the pensions of some of the researchers in academia. And I saw a few of the research, because I was a mature student. My circle was the lecturers and professors, not really the students. So I was sort of in that circle of influence. And
mm,
one thing, they were so distraught. that they were going to lose sort of £20,000 off of their pension. And I'm thinking, well, hang on a minute. They've spent their entire lives working their arse off to reach the pinnacle of academia. They are the best in the world at what they do, yet they're crying because they've lost £20,000 off the top of their pension. What does that tell you? That everything we're taught about education, about work, about careers is an absolute lie. You know, you work hard at school, you listen well, you get a great job, you focus on that job, you save hard, you will be successful. No, it's the complete opposite. You know, it's the complete. Ask anyone who's been saving money for the past 10 years right now if they feel comfortable with their savings. Of course not, because inflation is eating that away at a record pace. Yet there's still financial advisors out there saying save money. In fact, my daughter, right, she's just finished middle school. She's going to high school in September. They were talking about money at school, right? And I got so excited because they don't teach about money at school. And I think, you know, it's one of the most important subjects. But she came home and she's like, we're learning about money today, Daddy. And I got really excited. I'm like, yes, great, amazing. Let's hear what you said. And it was pretty much all about saving money. You should save money. I was just blown away. I'm like, really? They're teaching kids to save money when we've hit record inflation? Like, it just blows my mind. It just blows my mind. And it just couldn't be more clear that schools and the way that the workplace is set up in a way to keep people in that system and switch them off to the unlimited possibilities outside of that.
You know, there's so much in there, and I'm trying to remember all the bits that I wanted to talk about. But
oh, sorry, Paula.
No, not at all. No, I mean all the bits that I want to talk about from what you've said, Alex. It's absolutely fascinating. No need to, never apologise. It's brilliant. So, what was so one thing first of all is you were talking about, you know, what they teach at school and how you're almost conditioned, if you like, to follow this career path and so on. You know, in the last couple of years, I have said several times, you know, either to myself, my husband and my daughter, I am so glad that I've gone on this entrepreneurial tangent that, you know, if you'd asked me 5 years ago or even 4 years ago, I probably would have gone, no, that's not possible for me, you know, because that shows her that, you know, if when she leaves school, she wants to start her own business, that's absolutely fine. When I was a kid, I had no idea that that was even an option. It was leave school, get a job, earn money, behave, you know, in the traditional normist form. You know, when I say behave, you know, be a good girl and do what you're supposed to do on your own path, or on the path that's set out for you, if you like. You know, I totally see her not doing that and making her own life and doing what she wants to do. She's even talking about doing an apprenticeship because she's desperate to get earning money. She's quite entrepreneurial already, you know, all these things. So, you know, that is absolute music to my ears. I mean, she started her leadership journey at about 3 years old, and she'll never listen to this probably because it's like, it's mum's podcast. You know. But if she does, she might shoot me in the foot. However, when she was 3, it already was emerging, or maybe she was 4, perhaps, to articulate the sentence. But I don't know what we were doing, but hubby and I were just ranting about something and crosswords, whatever. And I feel like there was someone else there, and she just stood in the middle of the room, legs astride, hands on hips, and then she just went, "Everybody just calm down."
Oh, how old was she at this point?
About 4, I reckon.
About 4. Oh, that's brilliant. Absolutely young, brilliant. That is brilliant.
So already she was taking the lead and, you know, sorting things out. But, you know, that
I think she's very lucky to have been blessed with the gift of freedom. You know, that gift that you've given her of look, there's more options, there's more ways of living your life than what you've
Yeah.
been told.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a gift that any child should be blessed to have. I
Yeah.
mean, my daughter, you know, I encourage her academically, because I want her to be the best at what she does, no matter what she does.
Absolutely.
But I also let her know that, look, what they tell you at school about you have no other choice and that if you fail school, life is over, and don't listen to that. It's all lies. And I know that from experience. And she
Yeah.
knows that, you know, I've been through academia, you know, right up to my PhD. You know, I've been successful in business. I've been down both roads. I know what's there. And I've told her that, look, you know, academia, there's no light at the end of that tunnel. And the more the world is changing, the more we're moving into this sort of way of the pre-industrial revolution way
Mm.
of living. Careers are becoming less and less relevant. You know,
Mm.
jobs are becoming more and more short-term solutions, and
Yes.
people are going to need to become more entrepreneurial in order just to survive, not to be
Yeah.
successful, but just to survive. Now, the reason I want my daughter to be in school is because there's two skills that you learn at school that you don't really learn anywhere else as a child, and they're two of the single most important skills in entrepreneurship and in life in general, and that's communication skills and
Mm.
social skills. You learn them in bucket loads at school. You know, during the pandemic, look how many children's personalities changed just
Yeah.
because they weren't at school. They're not around other children. They're not communicating in social environments, building those social bonds, learning how to be a human, you
Yeah.
know, being a
Yeah.
social human. And a lot of children became very socially awkward because
Mm.
they've been locked away. And that's one of the main reasons I make sure my daughter is in school, because up until, you know, about 14, 15, that's when we learn to communicate, we learn how to socialize. So in my opinion, children need to be in that social environment. So, you
Mm.
know, although I say, look, you know, school in terms of what they teach you, you know, remember what we tell you and regurgitate that information without question, I think
Mm.
that's a load of rubbish. You know, that's quite harmful in my opinion. We need to be critical thinkers and learn how to innovate new ideas. But
Mm.
the social and the social skills and the communication skills are critical. I always say to my daughter, the most important lesson at school is break time.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
But people
You
don't
know,
realize that. And I don't really hear
yeah.
anyone saying it, but it's so true.
Yeah, it is a really lovely way to look at it. And I mean that in the nicest way, Alex. You know, certainly not a patronizing way, because
No.
you know, over the years, I've had a lot of roles that have been involved, like communications lead for X, or you know,
Yeah.
communications lead for something else, and it's all about the messaging and how you share things, the way you do it, what you're saying. And that's right from the very start. You know, that little example I gave of my daughter standing there saying, you know, everybody just calm down, you know, but it was the attitude that came with it as well, you know. So it's it's lovely to see, and I completely get you in that sort of almost, well, 2 years of disruption really, wasn't it, for our
Yeah.
children at school, where they really did miss out. Personalities did change, they did become more insular, and, you know, I remember my daughter wanting to use my Zoom account late at night because I was the only one that had, Zoom Pro out of
Yeah.
all of her friends, you know, so they could stay on as long as they liked with as many as they liked. And you know, they were using that for a good while on a Friday night to have some social interaction. You know, so that they found ways around it. But gosh, when they went back to being able to meet up in the park or go to each other's houses, it was just life changing again for them.
And it
But I
should
think,
be.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think one thing that seems to be a thread through here, you've talked a lot about success. And what I wanted to put to you is it depends on your view of success as
Of
well,
course.
doesn't it? And, you know, going back to what you said on, you know, how we're ingrained and taught to think certain ways and believe that unless we have this really great job with X amount of money in the bank, we're not successful. You know, if you look at my business so far, some might argue that it's not successful, but I would disagree,
Yeah,
because actually there's more to being successful than
absolutely.
the
You know,
money or the number of clients or the whatever else you might measure on.
yeah,
And
I
that's
could not agree
very
more.
individual. Yeah.
I could not agree more. You know, the most successful person I've ever met was a guy called Anas in the Atlas Mountains. So I went hiking in the Atlas Mountains with a friend, and we stopped off at a village, and we met a small family. And I had a conversation with the guy, the dad of the family, and he was saying how us Westerners are stupid because we think we're successful, yet we give away all our time and tell
Mhm.
ourselves that we're successful. He was
Yeah.
telling me how he gets to play in the hills with his kids all day long. He gets to tend his garden with his family. You know, everything is just utter freedom. And he says, "Now tell me that you're more successful than I am." And I just couldn't. I just
Yeah.
couldn't. You know, everything he was saying, it's like, what you're saying, the lifestyle you're living, is everything that we aspire to in the West. Yet
Mhm.
we willingly give away our time for something as common and worthless as money. And we tell ourselves that one day we're going to have the money
Yeah.
to be able to stop working and spend our time with our family, when in reality we don't need money. We could spend all our time with our family right now if we just spend some time and effort and learn how to re-engineer our lifestyle to suit that. You know,
Mm.
the life he was living was amazing. And it was so funny because his wife came out and she gave us some food, and it was like a curry thing, like a vegetarian curry thing. And one of my friends went to give us some money, and she took such offense. She
Oh,
was really upset that he tried to give her money, and she was like, "No, no, no!" And my friend was insisting, and the guy we were with, so we had a guide with us. He was
yeah.
like, "No, no, 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 no! Put it away, put it away." And then we ended up having a conversation about that, an honest conversation, and they basically, Anas, the guy, he turned around and said, "Look, we don't believe in the concept of money here, because money doesn't exist. You know, we accept real value. It's like we don't believe in those lies." And it's like, wow, it really is a lie, isn't it? Like, money just is a lie. And here's a fun fact as well, that
The root of all evil as well.
it really is, but it's also the root of you can, money is it's neutral. It's not bad, it's not good.
Mm.
It's dependent on the person in which has it. You know, if you're a narcissistic, sociopath, and you're given loads of money, it's just going to exaggerate those traits. If
Yeah.
you're an empath and all you want to do is help people and save the world, give someone like that all the loads of money, and they're only going to be a better person. You know,
Yes.
money is neutral. But
Mm.
here's something funny that will help you sort of understand how worthless money is. Do you know it costs more to produce a kilogram of toilet paper than it does a kilogram of £20 notes? Therefore, there's more intrinsic value in your toilet paper than there is in your wallet.
I love that. I love that. And something that occurred to me as you were talking there, Alex, again, is that whole idea of the concept of being rich. Now, this is another conversation I had with my daughter. Because when she was little, it was like, "Are we rich, mummy? One day will we be rich?" It's like, and I'm like, "We are rich." No, we're not. We haven't got much money. I said, rich isn't about, for me anyway, isn't about the amount of money you've got in the bank or whatever else. I said, it's all about the happiness that we have together as a family and the love and all of that side of it, rather than the cash in the bank,
Yeah, yeah,
and it's, when your kids are at school and they're seeing the Lamborghinis that you referred to pulling up or whatever else, and we're rocking up in our old 10-year-old banger, they kind of have this, again, that ingrained view from school and from others, where it's all about the status symbols, if you like, and for
yeah.
me, it's just not.
Do you know what though, Paula? I think we're fortunate enough to be in a time of massive change, and
Yeah,
people's perceptions are changing. And I
yeah,
think, although social media and things like that are very destructive, they've also
mm.
been very helpful in us
Oh yeah,
seeing through the illusion of what's real and what's not.
yeah,
And I you, I think that people see someone driving a Lamborghini, what they actually see is someone trying to prove a point.
yeah.
And when we see someone trying to prove a point, we ask ourselves, is this person legit? You know, and we don't we end up sort of the trust for whoever's driving that Lamborghini is just not there, because we're like, this isn't, where did they get that from? We just don't trust them. Is it real? Did they hire it out? It just doesn't seem legit. And we don't find those people very interesting. So here's an example. If there was two millionaires, okay, two millionaires came to you, one turned up in a Lamborghini, one turned up in a rundown Fiat Punto. Who would you be more interested in speaking to? They're both millionaires.
Oh, definitely the Fiat Punto for sure.
Exactly. Why? Because, that's an
They're
interesting
keeping
character.
it
He's got
real.
all the money in the world, yet he's driving the most rundown, clapped out car in the world. It's like, I want to speak to this guy. He's interesting. And the reason I bring that up is because I have a close circle that I operate in. And one of the people in that circle, his name's Dr. Hemmel, right? And he's a very successful cancer researcher, but he's also a very successful digital marketer. So much so that I watched that man close £200,000 of deals in one webinar. He's
Wow.
absolutely amazing at what he does. Yet, if you meet this man, you'd think, "Oh, this guy's so poor. Someone give him a tenner and tell him to buy a sandwich." He drives because he drives a bright yellow Fiat Punto.
I love
He
it.
wears these oversized shirts. You'd think the guy was broke as a joke and would be queuing outside the food bank. But he's a multi. In fact, he's probably one of the wealthiest people in my circle. Yet you wouldn't think it. And if you met that man, it's nothing but it's mesmerizing how interesting he is. Whereas I know someone else in my circle who's all about the Lambos, the Rolexes, and it's just he's very much conforming to society's idea of success. Why? It's not because he enjoys the Lambos. It's not because he enjoys the Rolexes. It's because he enjoys the image that creates and the perception that he believes that creates in other people's minds.
Yeah.
That's all it is, and that's not very interesting, because if you're conforming to what other people's idea of success, then they just say, oh, well, he's successful. Oh, hang on a minute. That person's successful, yet he's riding a bicycle to school at work. I want to speak to that guy. He's interesting. Why? Because he's not conforming to the traditional framework idea of what we're told success is.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness, we could talk all day, Alex.
Yes, we could. I'm the
and
worst.
this will turn into a 4-hour Joe Rogan special if we're not.
I think it would. If you just said, right, no time limit, well, we'd be here till 6 o'clock this evening, Paula.
Well, maybe we'll do a one-off special to satisfy that curiosity for both of us.
We'll have to do it. We'll have to do it as a group one. We'll have to have a good few people on it with different ideas, people who have opposing ideas to me, and we can just share. And I think that would be brilliant.
Yeah, well, there's an idea, and yes, I will hold us both to account then, Alex, in that case, to make it happen. I reckon Hannah would be a good one to bring into that.
Definitely, because I know she's got some great ideas about team management, leadership. I know she's got some great ideas about success as well. So yeah, it'd be great to have Hannah on and have a chat as well.
Yeah, right. That's it. I'm on it like a car bonnet, as they say. We'll get that booked in for the in the foreseeable future, so that we can have a good chinwag, and we'll make it a special. So that it can be longer than our usual episode. Because honestly, Alex, you've got little gems coming out left, right, and centre as you're chatting away there, without even trying. And it's just such a pleasure to talk to you.
So much.
And as I said earlier, as you're talking, I'm getting all these ideas going off, and by the time you finish, I'm like, what was I going to say?
Oh, wow.
It's brilliant. I can't wait to listen back to it.
No, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. I mean, my ideas and the way of thinking is very out of the box, and it's not everyone's cup of tea. But I think that I speak for a lot of people who want to see change in the world.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And crikey, wouldn't it be a boring place if we were all thinking in the same way, doing the same thing? It would be like the Doozers in Fraggle Rock. Do you remember that? That all just do the same thing every day. And then when someone breaks it, they just come along again and fix it, because that's the way things are and the way we've always done it.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. But yeah, we need to have these difficult conversations, and we need to. I think everyone needs to start thinking out the box.
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever that means for them.
Whatever
And
that means for them. Yeah,
and
whatever
there'll
that means
be
for them.
different people taking it at different paces, but whatever you can do to, we talk about it in coaching and leadership development as pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. You don't have to do that in a massive giant leap. The tiny steps, I call them ridiculously small steps, thanks to my wonderful friend Amy. So ridiculously small, you can't help but achieve it. So you can celebrate those little wins as you grow it piece by piece, tiny step at a time. And that's all it takes, because very soon, in a few months' time, a year's time, 2 years' time, you'll have leapt from there to there without too much trouble at all.
Exactly. And that we seem to forget that happiness is actually in our pain. We find happiness when we go through pain and we get out of that comfort zone. And it's that our comfort zone is actually what creates unhappiness, because we become stagnant and we're not evolving. And we're on this planet to do one thing, and that's evolve as a species, individually. We're here to evolve. And if we're not evolving, then what are we here doing? What are we doing?
Good point. Conversation for next time.
Conversation for next time.
Right, on that note, thank you so much, Alex. This has been your third episode on Game of Leadership. But as we say, I think we're going to plan a special with you, Hannah, and, let's think about if we want to bring in a fourth, and let's have some fun and a good long chat on that one and bring that to everybody at some soon point in the future.
Definitely. I'm all up for it. Super excited.
Excellent. Look after yourself. Take care.
You too, Paula. Take care. Thank you for having me.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to Game of Leadership, the podcast for curious leaders. This has been the third episode and final episode for a little while anyway, with our guest, who shared their pivotal moments that make them the leader they are today. Again, I talk about uniqueness a lot. Every guest story and their pivotal moments, the challenges they faced, the issues they faced over the years to get to where they are now, and how they pulled themselves through all of that, makes them the leader they are today. And each one of those stories is unique and different. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat with them and see what that meant for them. Now, once again, it's your turn to reflect on what you've heard today, see what resonates for you, and think about what that might mean for your leadership moving forwards. I'm Paula Eddie Wilcox, and I look forward to welcoming you back next time on Game of Leadership, the podcast for curious leaders. Bye for now.